So good morning, parents and students. Thank you for joining us this morning. My wish for all of you is that this is a moment for reflection on all that has shaped the school experience, the community that you as a family have been a part of, and the experiences, the lessons learned, and the friendships made. The focus today is not on marks and extrinsic awards, but rather on the growth and development of each young person, their unique characteristics, their talents, their individuality, and their heart. We focus today on each person and the exciting adventure that lies ahead for them as they prepare to leave school. Parents, thank you for entrusting your children to us and for walking alongside us as a part of our community. Your job as parents is never done, and it remains an interesting and unscripted journey that you will share with your children as they move through their adult lives. And while for some the idea of your child leaving home is daunting and difficult, celebrate their independence and know that you have done your job well, that they are ready to move beyond your care and protection and explore what waits ahead for them. Grade 12s, you've had to navigate a most unusual time in our modern day experience, while simultaneously managing the demands of your final school year. I think these challenges will ultimately equip you with many wonderful lessons and unexpected opportunities that you cannot yet foresee. As you approach the final term of school and prepare for what lies beyond, you face a choice. You can choose to dwell on what did not, or could not happen, or focus on what lies within your control, how authentically you live your life, and the person you aim to become. This is an opportunity for you to define yourself irrespective of circumstances, but rather by relying on your values, your heart, and your unique self. In his delightful book, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse, Charlie McKeesy reminds us of some simple yet profound truths that may assist in guiding you through all that lies ahead. "I'm so small," said the mole. "Yes," said the boy, "but you make a huge difference." Grade 12s, always remember that you have it within you to be part of something, and that you, as you are, have much to offer. "What do you want to be when you grow up?" "Kind," said the boy. If this pandemic has highlighted anything, it is the need for kindness and compassion. Our common humanity unites us, and it is our strength in face of any form of challenge. Imagine how we could be if we were less afraid. So many opportunities lie ahead for you. Be open to them and embrace the possibilities. One of our greatest freedoms is how we react to things. This is never more true than now. What an empowering thought that no matter the situation we find ourselves in, we can cope. There's so much beauty that we need to look after. Grade 12's possibilities ahead for you are many, but none of these will materialize if we fail to realize we are all custodians of this planet, and it has the capacity to heal us, to nourish us, and to house us. "What is the bravest thing that you have ever asked?" said the boy. "Help," said the horse. We are not meant to walk through life alone. We need each other, and asking for help is the clearest sign to others that you are not prepared to give up. It is a sign of incredible strength. And lastly, be curious. Celebrate the wonders of our world, of each other. Learn and engage actively every day with the world that is around you. And with all this in mind, it's time for us now to meet our guest speaker. He is a person who epitomizes all that is good and necessary in these very unpredictable times. His focus is on the upliftment of those in the greatest need, irrespective of race, religion, or creed. He celebrates the fragility of life and the dignity of others, working with vision and intention to care for, protect, and serve those around him. He is humble, personable, integrous, and gracious, a wonderful servant of our country and its people, a leader and a person of influence amongst all. Today we're privileged to welcome Dr. Suleiman, founder of the Gift of the Givers. He is driven, through the work he does, to honor the direction given to him by a spiritual leader. He is driven by his faith and his belief that our common humanity unites us all.
Very good morning to the matriculants of Crawford College. I wish you all the best in the upcoming exam. I know it's been 2 years of terrible anxiety, but COVID-19, opening and closing of schools, uncertainty in varsity, difficulty in online learning. It has been a tremendous challenge for students at matric level, university students, parents, and the whole society, in fact, the whole world. The other added pressure, matriculants are not sure what marks they will get, how well they will perform, what courses they will get into. All these are very, very real challenges. I have one message for matric students. The most important thing is to do the best. It's not about getting 7 A's or 9 A's or 10 A's. It's doing the best you can. And if you've done the best you can, that's all that matters. Because I've seen matric students come to varsity with 7 A's and 8 A's and even fail first year medicine, fail first year actuarial science, fail first year engineering, because they're in courses they don't want to do. And quite often, parents, you are listening, you put unnecessary pressure on your children. Your children must do what they love, what they're comfortable with, what they're happy with. Having a career that you're not happy with may bring you some money, but your whole life is destroyed in unhappiness. That's why you find that so many students or so many business people change their courses or their careers going further in life. And we don't want to do that. I'll share with you some of my personal experience before I go on to the background of Gift of the Givers and other important points. I have 6 children. All 6 children can't be the same. Not one of them was pressurized to follow in my footsteps. All of them were asked to do whatever they want to do at their own comfort in their own way. My first daughter changed course 3 times. She did sociology, then did homeopathy, and finally found a home in didactics. She's extremely happy with what she's doing. My son went into computer engineering, and he has now joined me since September 2017, and he's the IT person in the organization. My third child went into sports science. She first started again with something like sociology, social science, and went into sports science. And I'll explain a little bit about that. And my 4th daughter is busy. She's a doctor. She wants to specialize further. She is the only one who followed me. The 5th one is doing psychology, and the 6th one is still at school. Now let me tell you a little bit about my children. My son went to Matric College, and every day he came home, we had no homework. And I asked him, what am I paying fees for at school? You don't come home, I don't see you study, I don't see you make any progress, and he got 7 A's. My daughter, who did sports science, worked Monday to Sunday. She studied so hard, and she could only battle for getting C's and sometimes B's if she was lucky. Fortunately, all my children peaked in matric and all did well according to their own level. When my daughter said she wants to do sports science, I said, which Indian families are going to come to do sports science or come to a gym? Everybody is not consistent. She told me she's determined, she's going to do it, she's going to set up a gym, and people will come. I really appreciated her fighting spirit. She went totally against what I suggested. And I said, there'll be no candidates or no clients. She's running a very successful gym with individual teaching and teaching at home, and there's more people she has in the list than she can fit in. This was her own choice. The father didn't pressurize her. I gave her advice, but she was strong-willed and she did what she wanted to do. I ask all parents, let your children research what they want to do. Yes, sometimes it costs more. I told my kids, every time you change a course, it's costing the father money. But at the end of the day, do what you're happy with. And when you're happy with, you'll succeed in life because you must be passionate about what you do. So all my best wishes for you in the exams. It doesn't matter if you don't get 7 A's. It doesn't matter if you come down. That is not failure. Failure is refusal to try. Trying and failing is learning. It's about how not to do things. It's experience. So whatever doesn't come right is not the end of the world. It's something you've benefited from, you've learned from. It's different steps to say, okay, I shouldn't be doing it like this. That is experience. It's never lost. It's a stepping stone to greater things in life. It builds your mind, it builds your So for the big challenges come in the business world. So that's my message to children and parents regarding studies and courses to follow and having no pressure and being passionate and loving what you do. I'm a doctor in private practice. A strange thing happened to me. In 1991, my wife and I went to Turkey. An Afrikaner man from Pretoria who came to Pietermaritzburg. He moved to Pietermaritzburg in 86, and I moved from Pretoria, and I moved to Pietermaritzburg in 86 from Durban. We both met. He came to do a post in university lecturing in French, and I came to open private practice because I also wanted to be a physician. I wanted to do internal medicine, but it didn't work out. I didn't get a post. There was no opportunity. I was forced to go into private practice. I didn't want to do private practice, but I was forced to go into private practice because there was no other opportunity. This man came, he wanted a doctor, and he met me, and I became his doctor. And we started discussing. He had a scholarship to France, he had a scholarship to America, and in America, he met a spiritual teacher. And he told me about the teacher. And he said, you should visit the teacher in Istanbul. So I started laughing. I said, Mr. Miller, it's 1986. I still haven't seen Cape Town in South Africa. When am I going to see Istanbul? He said two important things. He said, my friend, there's a time and a place. What God wills happens. His words came true 5 years later. It's a long explanation as to why I ended up in Istanbul. I met a spiritual teacher. My wife and I fell in love with him, and I went back the second year. On the 6th of August, 1992, it was a Thursday night, 10 p.m. This is a Sufi place, a Muslim Sufi place, a holy place. They have what is called a zikr. A zikr is a celebration of God's names, or chanting of God's name in Arabic. After the session, the teacher looks me in the eye, and he looks heavenward. And he tells me in fluent Turkish, and I don't speak a word of Turkish. But I understood every single word that he said. He said, my son, I'm not asking you. I'm instructing you to form an organization. In Arabic, the name will be Waqful Waqifin. Translated, it means gift of the givers. You will serve all people of all races, all religions, all colors, all classes, all cultures, of any geographical location and of any political affiliation. But you will serve them unconditionally. You will expect nothing in return, not even a thank you. In fact, in what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life, expect to get a kick up your back. If you don't get a kick up your back, regard that as a bonus. Serve people with love, kindness, compassion, and mercy. And remember, the dignity of man is foremost. So if someone is down in the ground, don't push them down further. Hold them, elevate them. Wipe the tear of a grieving child. Caress the head of an orphan. Say words of good counsel to a widow. These things are free. They don't cost anything. Clothe the naked, feed the hungry, and provide water to the thirsty. And in everything that you do, be the best at what you do. Not because of ego, but because you're dealing with human life, human emotion, and human dignity. He repeated, this is an instruction for you for the rest of your life. He said, my son, but remember this, the most important part of the message, that whatever you do is done through you and not by you. Don't ever forget that. In life, we need to understand that our achievements, our progress, our success are by the grace of God Almighty. We also need to learn respect, that we are where we are because of the sacrifices of our parents. And once we show obedience and respect and understand that, we will go very, very far in life. I told you I don't speak a word of Turkish, and I understood every single word he said. And I asked him, teacher, how is it possible that when everybody else here speaks Turkish, I don't understand, but when you speak Turkish, I understand every single word? He said, my son, when the hearts connect and the souls connect, the words become understandable. I said, you've given me a lot of instructions. What am I supposed to do? What aspect of service do you want me to follow? I'm a doctor. I have 3 private practices in a place called Pietermaritzburg in South Africa. What am I supposed to do? He told me one line: you will know. In 29 years, I do know what to do, when to do, how to do, what not to do, what to touch, what not to touch. The moment I walked out of that place, the inspiration came, respond to the civil war in Bosnia. And I responded to the civil war in Bosnia. But that mapped out the future for me. That gift of the givers, in essence, was going to be a disaster response agency. That we're going to specialize in disaster intervention and disaster management. And for 29 years, we've been doing that very, very successfully as one of the most prominent, effective disaster organizations in the world. And around that, we've built 20 other categories of projects. So be it counseling, medical intervention, wheelchair distribution, food parcels, feeding schemes, agriculture, bee rehabilitation, fodder for animals, boreholes, housing, whatever it may be. There's 20 other categories of projects that have developed around disaster intervention. When we started off, a year later, not even a year later, in 1993, we designed the world's first containerized mobile hospital. Now we need to understand this very, very clearly. A lot of students, and even the parents, don't have too much of faith in our own capability. We're always looking to northern countries for assistance, what they're doing, how much progress they've made, are they the people we've got to follow? We need to follow our own instinct. We need to appreciate our own capability. And we need to understand that South Africa has got something very, very special. It's called spirituality and Ubuntu. And I'll explain this as we go along. So we designed the world's first containerized mobile hospital in South Africa. And we took it to Europe, from Africa to Europe. And the whole world regards us as backward, as poverty-stricken continent, with friction, with disorder, corruption, disease, governments that stay forever. Yes, there are individuals like that, but that doesn't apply to 1 billion people on this continent, and we need to understand that. This was a product of South African engineering, South African intellect, South African experience, and we took the hospital, the first of its kind in the world. No country, no government, no agency in the world had built anything like that. And we built it in South Africa in 93, not in 2021, in 93. And we took it across to Europe. When CNN filmed the hospital on the 1st of February 1994, they said the South African mobile hospital is equal to any of the best in Europe. That was our capability. Years went by, we always supplied medicines, blankets, tents, but we never took medical teams. For the first time in 2004, there was a tsunami that affected the world. And one of the places that got affected was a place called Harfoon on the northeast coast of Somalia. It's the first time we took a medical team. In August of 2005, there was famine in Niger. We took a medical team. That was both of those were primary healthcare teams. We evolved further. We now had a medical team that was primary health oriented, and in 2005, 8 October, a massive earthquake hit Pakistan. For the first time, we evolved even further. We took trauma teams. Trauma teams are surgeons, general surgeons, orthopedic surgeons, anesthetists, and people related to that kind of procedure. When we walked into Pakistan, the Pakistan military said, "Do you mind not going to the earthquake?" So I said, "That's fine." And my teams asked, "Then why did we come?" I said, "You don't understand." I asked the Pakistani general, "Which hospital will you give me?" He said, "You understand?" I said, "Yes." He said, "I'll give you the cantonment hospital of Rawalpindi." I said, "How can I send my teams into the mountains to bring those who are alive back down?" He said, "Sorry, the only way there is by trucks. All the helicopters are busy on urgent missions." So the team asked, "What are you guys talking about?" I said, the man is telling us that very few people have survived this earthquake. The doctors have died, the nurses have died, the hospitals have collapsed. The people who are left alone on the mountains need assistance. So I asked him if we can send our teams to stabilize them and bring them down to the ground. And there's no helicopters, but we'll make a plan. They give us the cantonment hospital of Rawalpindi, where whoever comes in from everywhere will be brought to that hospital. Our medical team will serve that hospital. So I looked around at the airport, I saw the American Air Force, and I went to them. I said, I'm from South Africa, I need help. Can you give me a helicopter? That is spirituality, that is Ubuntu. In 2 minutes, they gave us 3 helicopters. Our teams went to the mountain and stabilized the patients and brought them back. Whilst that was happening, we went to the cantonment hospital of Rawalpindi. When we walked in, we got the stench of gangrene, the stench of death. Children had no parents. They were orphaned. They were sitting on the stretchers with nobody to see them. Not enough medical staff, not enough supplies, no disinfectant, no nursing. I called the military in. I said, is this an organized killing field? Will you put your mother in here? And he said, what do you mean? The superintendent came and said, they're closing the hospital down. Don't you know this hospital is being decommissioned? I said, you, the superintendent, and your government are all crazy. There's nothing wrong with this hospital. If I give you a shopping list and you bring it to me in 24 hours, we will show you what the South African team can do. And in 24 hours, they came with a shopping list. And a hospital that was shutting down, a South African team that studies in the schools that you studied in, and studied in government schools and Model C schools and private schools, and goes to the varsities and colleges that you want to go to. Those teams converted a hospital that was shutting down into a 400-bed emergency hospital and did 75 operations a day, saving many, many lives. And for that intervention in 2005, the Pakistan president in 2006 gave Gift of the Givers a presidential award. Whilst we were there, we saw teams from the northern countries and other parts of the world. And they asked, where are you from? And we said, we're from South Africa. They said, oh, Africa again. What did you come here to fetch? Because Africans are always looking for free things. They always take out a begging bowl. They always want stuff to be given to them. And I said, you will eat your words. We will show you what African teams, South Africa, and Africa is capable of. And when we converted that hospital into a 400-bed emergency hospital and did 75 operations a day, those same teams had to come and work in that hospital and watch how we work. In 2010, there was an earthquake in Haiti. In 40 seconds, 250,000 people died. We sent teams across. We evolved further. For the first time in our history, we had search and rescue teams. They got to the rubble 8 days after the earthquake. Whilst they were working the rubble, they were there earlier, but whilst they were working 8 days after the earthquake, a sound comes from the rubble. The South African teams goes into the rubble. And 3 hours later, from the Catholic Church in the rubble, they pull out 64-year-old Anna Zizi. No oxygen, no food, no water, all dust, completely enclosed in rubble. What a fractured heap. They pull out 64-year-old Anna Zizi. It was a world first. Never before in the history of the world has any team from Africa taken anybody out of the rubble alive in an earthquake outside the African continent. The Gift of the Givers teams, which are South African, which studied in the schools that you study, which go to the varsities that you want to go to, pulled out a lady alive from the rubble. And the first word she said is, I love God. And the second word she said is, I love you, she told the teams. The medical teams followed. And again, the Northern Country team said, it's difficult to work here. There's no CT scans, there's no equipment, the theaters are destroyed. And the South African team said, leave it to us. You know what they're saying? They're saying, die boer maak 'n plan. And the South African teams made the plan. And when they started functioning, the people and the northern teams said that if you want healing, if you want health, and if you want to survive, then go to the dream team. And the dream team is from Africa. The dream team is from South Africa. This is your fellow citizens, your team, your people, your country. They carry the flag under any circumstances, no matter how adverse the circumstances are. They were there, they were shooting in the streets. There was looting, there was rioting. Bullets were flying all over. But this team didn't flinch. They went there for a purpose, to save lives. And they forego all type of challenges. Nothing fazed them. And they went in. The same team went into Syria. And missiles flew over their head. And bombs flew over them. And bombs flew where we were staying. And I told them, go home. They said, we are here for a purpose. God Almighty has selected us. He brought us here to save life. We're not going home. We're going to stay here in the war. We're going to counter these bombs. We're going to see these missiles fly, but we're not going home. We are going to save lives, and we're going to serve the people. Dear matriculants, it's about resilience, about positive thinking, about not being afraid about anything. And I'm going to give you the last two examples I think I've spoken a lot. In Somalia, when our teams went in, they went in when the whole world was leaving Somalia. When it was fighting between Al-Shabaab and the transitional forces of the government, where bombs were flowing everywhere, and everybody was running from Somalia, from Mogadishu. And we flew in with 70 personnel, with medical personnel and media. And we set up a hospital in 3 hours. And before that, we set up broken down buildings as clinics. And the patients came to us. And when we treated a child that's 7 or 8 years old, we asked, where's the rest of your family? They said, she said, and everybody gave me the same story. Only my mother is here. You only have one person in your family? Somalis have 5 or 6 children each. Why is there only one person in your family here? Doctor, we walked from 400 kilometers. There was no food. It's famine. There's a drought. There's no water. My father, my brothers and sisters were tired. We had to make a decision as a family. And those who could not move decided to stay. And told those who can move to carry on. Where are they now? They're probably dead. Very matter of fact. My father and my brother and sister are dead, and my mother and I are here. And that story was told by hundreds of families. They had that experience. They came from the most difficult of circumstances, but they continued. They had hope. They got help. They went through the challenges, and they look forward to going ahead in life and do what they can. The past is bitter. The experience is bitter. But they had that hope to carry on for the sake of the country, for the sake of the nation, for the sake of the community. They had to carry on. And one final story. When we started raising funds for Somalia, there was a school, and the school is still there, in Orange Farm in Johannesburg. It's a very poor school. Those kids have no shoes. They don't have a jersey. They don't have a lunch box. They don't have a bag. They don't even have the lunch. And they go to school like that every single day, in that hardship and the difficulty and the cold, and they go every single day. And when the call came to help Somalia, on their own, nobody forced them. They said, we want to do something because there are people that are worse off than us. Who could be worse off than them? And they said there are people worse off than us. They raised 40,000 rand from kids who got nothing and said they want to give this to somebody else. This is determination, this is resilience, and this is something you can make the best of an opportunity. It's about being positive and saying, I will take the world on with all its challenges. It's about spirituality, it's about belief in an Almighty, it's about the lessons that you learn from your parents, from your church, from your temple, from your mosque, from your religious schools. These are the values we see in life altogether. When you want to serve, you're actually benefiting yourself. As a gift of the givers, when we go into environments, we're not giving anything. We are receiving. One final story. When we were in Mogadishu, I flew in the orthopedic team from Durban. And because there were many orthopedic injuries and nobody can solve them. And I brought in the team, and there's a doctor called Dr. Johnny the Beard. He lives in Belito. It's not far from your area. And he came in with other team members. A child who was 11 years old was going to die. Infected hip. Nobody could help him in Somalia. There was nobody skilled enough whether the Amazon forces, whether the government, anybody else, nobody could help him. In 20 minutes, Dr. Johnny De Beer finished the operation. The father came, put up his hands, and said, "Doctor, I'd like to appreciate you. You saved my child's life. What nobody could do in 8 months, you did in 20 minutes." The most important lesson is this. There are people very, very unfortunate. He stood with faith, he stood with hope, he stood with prayer, and a team eventually came. A team that saved the life of a child and put hope in his heart. A team that sought out every single orthopedic case. When we go into the rural areas, people say, "We were praying to God Almighty. We were waiting for a miracle. We were waiting for hope." And the green team came. Yes, we the green team, they call us the green team. But like we can do it, so you too can do it. You need to understand that while you may have problems, while you have challenges, while you have difficulties, there are people with far more difficulties, and they stand up with faith and they do the best we can. I want you to write that matric exam, be hopeful, just do the best you can, and that is good enough. And once you do the best you can, you will succeed in everything in life. I wish you all the best to you and all the matrics, and I wish the parents, a lot of parents have lost their jobs, have had difficulty, lots of families have lost COVID members. Our special prayers for you, and together, let's pick this country up and take it to a new level. We have the resilience, we have the Ubuntu, we have the spirituality, we have the means, we have the heart, and we have the guts to do it. Thank you very much.
Grade 12s. Dr. Suleiman has devoted his life to solving challenges and looking beyond life's difficulties, and as a result, profoundly affecting and driving change for good by honoring the guiding principle that forms all they do. Best among people are those who benefit mankind. We thank him for so graciously sharing his wisdom and giving of his time. The work done by the gift of givers is incredible. Should any of you wish to support the work they do, please find information at the end of this presentation, as well as on the website. There will be details at the end. As you reflect on the message from Dr. Suleiman, I want you to remind you further that of the power of love and support that you have on a daily level. Each of you are going to receive a letter from your parents, affirming the young person that you have become. Alongside this, they have placed a gift of significance, a gift from the heart. Both these gifts can be carried with you, no matter where you are in life, and they remain a constant reminder that you're loved and that home is a place that you can return to. May the rest of this morning be a time to treasure one another, a time for celebration, and a time to be grateful for the opportunities you've had, the love and the support that your parents have given you, and the incredible guidance that you receive daily from your teachers. Take care, rest well, and best wishes for the final examinations and the many wonderful adventures that lie ahead for all of you.